Good morning, everyone. Let me first say welcome and thank you for joining in. March is celebrated as Women's History Month, but most importantly, March 8th each year is celebrated as International Women's Day. So let me first say Happy International Women's Day to all the female participants and generally to all the women in agriculture and women at large. Over the years, the Ministry of Agriculture and the Rural Agricultural Development Authority, RADA, has always put some emphasis on women in agriculture, and we usually highlight or great women in agriculture on an annual basis. But for this year, we wanted to do something different. We wanted to bring some new information to you, information that we saw fit that will benefit you, information that you can consider in terms of new areas of agriculture that you can venture into. And as such, this session was born. So today is the first of 3 sessions that will be had over the next 2 days. And we'll be looking at emerging opportunities in agriculture that women can benefit from. Now, let us just face the fact, agriculture is a male-dominated field. And for years, women have been playing their role and they have been contributing greatly to agriculture and to the economy. And it is time for us to highlight them, highlight the unsung heroes, as we would call it, or unsung heroines, others may say. This morning, we have 3 special invited guests that will be presenting to you on some key areas that, as I mentioned before, you can benefit greatly from. And these areas are related to mushroom production, turmeric production, and castor oil production. We'll have presentations from Miss Pauline Smith, she'll be presenting to us on mushroom production, followed by Mr. Courtney Horton, who will be presenting to us on castor oil production, and Miss Alison Cummins, who will be giving us some insight into turmeric production in Jamaica. So we're going to begin. This session is expected to last for an hour, and we hope to stick within that time. We want to keep it short, yet to the point. We have the chat that you can utilize if you want to make comments, if you want to ask questions. The presenters also will give you an opportunity to ask questions at the end of their presentation, and they'll also provide you with additional information on how you can contact them in terms of venturing into these areas that will be discussed today. So let me say once again, thank you for joining in. And I do hope today's session will be one that is beneficial to you all who are currently online, and that, in no way women want to steal the spotlight from men, if you ask me. We more like want to share in the spotlight because there's big enough room for us all to share. And, the men, they have a lot to offer, and we can learn from them just the same. So let us kick things off with our first presenter, which is Miss Pauline Smith. Miss Smith, are you online?
I am.
Okay. Good morning, and how are you?
Good morning. I'm absolutely lovely today. Thank you for inviting me.
Good to see you again.
Anytime there's a chance to talk about mushroom, I'm there.
Every time I hear your name, I always remember that day when you introduced me to mushroom, and I couldn't believe that it could taste so much like some form of cuisine, some chicken done in something. So I always, try to share that experience with persons to say, mushroom is not all that bad, that, like what people always say. And I thank you for that experience.
Thank you so much. It's always good to see you again.
So the space is over to you, and you can begin your presentation.
Well, thank you. RADA and the Ministry of Agriculture has been big supporters of what we're doing. There's been several changes since I started. Now that I am Wake Jamaica Limited, I am even more excited to talk to old friends because now we have a exciting mushroom industry. When we started to talk, it was I would have to explain what mushroom was. Now we have Jamaica is on the map, not just about edible mushrooms, but about medicinal mushrooms and psilocybin mushrooms. Most of my presentation today will focus on the importance of gourmet edible mushrooms and medicinal mushrooms, which are completely legal. There is no shadow around it. We've been spreading the word about mushrooms for the last 10 years in Jamaica, and it's exciting that it's caught up. I think there is a special place for women in the mushroom industry, especially in Jamaica, because the mushroom industry in Jamaica was started by women for women as an income and food security project. And while we've had a number of changes, and now we have an infusion of capital because all the work I did prior to last year caught the attention of international players, and we were it was very nice because someone in Canada believed in what we were trying to do and came to Jamaica and made a very significant investment in developing the edible and medicinal mushroom capacity of the farm. So we at the present are near completion of a 17,000 square foot GMP standard facility mother farm to produce and deliver grow bags and mushrooms across the country and for export. We do have a market now where women can benefit. There is a buyer in place that will take all of the mushrooms that can be produced. Can we move to the next slide? So my presentation is really about making a business case for mushroom, the popularity of gourmet and medicinal mushroom. And I should explain what's the difference. With mushrooms, you can actually eat some mushroom and it is medicinal. So for instance, the oyster mushroom is great for your heart. The lion's mane mushroom is great for your brains, but they also taste amazing. Oyster mushroom can mimic any kind of flavor that you want. So you can actually use the oyster mushroom to make a cake, or you can use it to make ice cream, or you can use it as a meat replacer. There are then medicinal mushrooms, and the medicinal mushrooms are mushrooms that you don't tend to eat. You may drink it in a tea, or most often you take it in a capsules. So you have mushrooms that have been proven in studies to help your immune system, to help you fight cancer. For instance, turkey tail has been is a common mushroom that is in Jamaica that we usually don't pay attention to, but it has been shown to be really powerful drug for fighting cancer. And the mushroom that everybody is talking about, and most of the businessmen are talking about now, is the legality around psilocybin mushrooms. Now, this is a mushroom that is used for therapeutic. We grew up hearing about it as magic mushroom, but there is a lot of studies now showing that dealing with depression, post-traumatic stress disorder, anxiety, that psilocybin or magic mushroom is a really good medicine that can be used for treating it in therapeutic situations. So psilocybin has been given breakthrough drug status by the FDA in America. So that has really been what has been driving all the interest in it. Slide. Could we go to the next slide? Some countries, and Jamaica is being invited right now to take the same approach, have really put their effort behind. So Puerto Rico is one country where they swung away from just doing traditional agriculture and built out their mushroom. Why is this important to women? Mushroom does not require physical strength, the same level of physical strength that it requires to grow yam. It doesn't demand the same amount of space that you may need to grow chickens or pigs. It doesn't take the same amount of time. So it is a really good area for women because mushroom takes dedication and paying attention, but it also doesn't need to take full time. In the model that seems to work best for Jamaica is the model of having a mother farm that produces all of the grow bags like the Jamaica broiler does. The Jamaica broiler model is the model that we believe in our company works best, where one big mother farm has all the equipment to do the chemistry and the planning, the expensive part of cloning and all of that. And then the regular farmers pick up their version of a day-old chick. So all you need to have is a fruiting room with the right equipment, and you can be producing mushroom in 3 to 5 days after receiving your grow bags. Sorry, could we move the next slide? The edible mushroom comes in a number of different varieties. So in Jamaica, the mushroom that works, if you look on the screen, that white mushroom is a local developed strain of oyster mushroom. That mushroom takes 2 to 3 days to reach fruition once it begins to bloom. And as you can see, it's much like a flower. This mushroom is a flavor absorber. So anything you cook, you can cook this mushroom with your ackee, and it comes ackee and saltfish, and it takes on the characteristics of that dish. Or you could make brown stew chicken and mushroom. It will go with just about anything. This mushroom sells for to my customers for $2,500 a pound. Is there any questions? Because we want to talk about the stages of what you do to create a new mushrooms. Because mushrooms don't have seed, and why you need the support of a mother farm that's better equipped is that you start a mushroom by taking a living fresh mushroom and taking a tissue culture from that mushroom and putting it on a petri dish. The end result is then taken from that petri dish and put on sterilized grain. Once it has inoculated and colonized that grain, you then introduce it to the material that you're going to use. Since mushroom doesn't grow in the ground, you have to give it special food. In our case in Jamaica, we don't have hay, we don't have sawdust, and we don't grow any form of bran. Because of that, when we started this industry, we were at a disadvantage because we didn't have the right foods for mushroom. What we have discovered over the last several years is that bamboo, especially the leaves of bamboo and lemongrass, can be processed in a way that it becomes the perfect food for growing the mushrooms. The whole process from start to finish takes between 25 and 28 days. So this is a really quick crop. So you're looking at using a waste crop like bamboo that doesn't have a lot of use for anybody, and turn that into a crop that will sell within the month for $2,500 a pound. My experience with mushroom in Jamaica is that for the women I work with, and we have women in St. Anne's, we've partnered with different stakeholders to help different women to produce mushrooms, that if they can grow as little as 5 solid pounds of mushrooms, they can earn between $10,000 and $15,000 a week and still not have their cultivation interrupt their lives. For large scale operations like my own, mushroom cultivation is a 24 hours, 7 days a week, 365 days a year operation. Mushrooms don't take breaks, and it's much like being a mom. You can't take the weekend off from looking after the kids. So I think mushroom is a great opportunity for women because we know just naturally how to stick to things. There are opportunities for micro farmers. In my community, we have a number of micro farmers. And as long as you have a structure, you can collect your grow bags as little as 10 grow bags a week, and you can earn a living growing mushrooms. Mid-sized growers are needed in the field. We are looking to export 150,000 pounds of mushrooms to the North American market now that we have a partnership with a large Canadian company. So whatever mushroom person gets into the mushroom business and work along with us, we'll be able to take the output and have a market for it. Up to date, we believe that the thing that has been holding back the Jamaican mushroom industry and the women who are growing mushroom is that after they've grown their mushroom, they have struggled to find where to sell the mushroom. And because mushroom is a perishable crop, that you need to know where you're going to sell your mushrooms before you grow your mushrooms. It is not like yams. You can't plant it and then wait because things happen so fast. If you're doing the whole process yourself, you have 4 to 6 weeks from the minute you start to when you have mushrooms that have to be processed or sold. If you're only buying grow bags and farming out the mushrooms, allowing them to grow out, you have 2 to 5 days to know where you're selling the mushrooms. And so we found that even when our ladies in St. Anne would successfully grow beautiful mushrooms, the issue was where would they sell them? And especially now, after we've had the COVID and most of the tourism market have evaporated, it was of a big concern that we don't encourage people to grow something that they couldn't sell. With the partnership we have with Wake International, mushrooms will be purchased and dried and packaged in a GMP standard facility and made ready for export. So the more mushrooms we can lay our hand on, the more we can send it out. So there is a lot of room. It's a really great space right now. Our company is looking to work with at least 1,000 women across the island producing mushrooms. And because we started as a social enterprise, we do have the luxury of saying we are especially interested in having women and youth as part of this industry. Oftentimes, we have opportunities in agriculture, and it is the people who can come up with a bigger budget that can lead up and find space in it. In the mushroom industry, because we were started by women, for food and income security, we've been able to secure an agreement with Wake Network, the Canadian company, to say that we are particularly interested in working with women and transferring some of those benefits and some of that income directly to the women that we work with. So I'm encouraging as many women as possible that would like to be part of the mushroom industry to reach out to RADA, to reach out to Ministry of Agriculture, because Minister Green has been incredibly supportive. Mr. Thompson at RADA has been just a long time supporter of what we do. And we now have these systems in place, like working with CASE. And since we have a market that is waiting for the mushroom, I think it behooves us not to just jump on this bandwagon and go right away. The slide on the screen is showing you, giving you a little bit of an idea why we settled on having the mother farm concept. Because whoever goes in at the large end, the mother farm part of it, has to be able to create an extraordinary amount of substrate. That is the food that you use to feed the mushroom. Must have the right equipment in industrial sizes. So you require things like tractors and pasteurization tools. And so that is why for the small farmer, just like buying your ready to grow day old chicken, it is better to buy a grow bag ready to grow. But we are willing and open to work with anyone who wants to learn the entire process. Mushroom is a multi-billion-dollar industry. And one of the reasons we will be drying and processing our mushrooms, whether it's oyster or lion's mane, is not just to make into capsules, but really to look at the value added end of it, because a pound of dry oyster mushroom sells for $79 to $99 a pound in Toronto. This is actually good, big money. I am open for questions. For some people who may not want to go directly in mushroom cultivation, there are so many spin-offs of the industry, because the lemongrass at the moment, we are not capturing the lemongrass oil that comes out, which is a very expensive oil. There is a lot of new industries that can spin off from this. And it would be lovely, like the men dominate yams. It would be great if the women continue to dominate mushrooms. Any questions?
All right. Thank you so much, Ms. Smith, for that informative, I must say, presentation. I'm very sure the participants would have gotten some useful information that can allow them to make some critical decisions in terms of what areas they would want to venture into. And most importantly, if they want to venture into mushroom, they are now equipped with the information to do so. Before I take the questions, let me first apologize for not introducing myself. Oh my Lord, I'm so sorry. My name is Rosalind Jackson Richards. I'm the Director for Strategic Planning, Monitoring, and Evaluation, and I'm also RADA's Gender Focal Point. So my sincere apologies, and now we know each other. Sorry about that. So before I go to the chat, Ms. Smith, I just wanted to ask a quick question. In terms of COVID-19, I know this virus would have impacted the mushroom industry in some way, but would you say it has tampered or affected the industry in any major way where your markets are being interfered with greatly and the women are at a loss and all those things? Could you shine some light on that?
COVID was not kind to us at first.
Okay.
COVID, in the matter of a weekend, our entire market evaporated. You know, you wake up on Monday morning and Round Hill says we'll be suspending our mushroom order. They have standing order, and all these hotels and everybody, I mean everybody, entire routes disappeared overnight. All my hotels in Montego Bay, in Ocho Rios, everything disappeared.
Okay.
It what it did, however, was great timing, because just about the same time, the CEO of Wake Network, the partner company, came down from Canada looking for a partnership to produce mushrooms, and they wanted to produce all types of mushrooms in Jamaica. So we were able to use that time to expand the farm. So at that point, then we went into construction overdrive and expanded from pretty much a cottage industry. So we were holding it down with a few community groups and trying to keep the vision alive, but we were severely underfunded. We
Okay.
had a big hopes and everything, but instantly we had the resources. What would take me 6 months of proposal writing and twisting myself into all shapes to match the agenda, that wasn't needed anymore, because we were adequately funded for a major expansion. So it was paradoxical for us, because we lost all our market, all our women. We had a center that was set to open in St. Anne, Bamboo St. Anne, and everything stopped. So the women were devastated. What's lovely about today is that we have a market. We need 150,000 pounds of different types of mushroom. So COVID also opened a new market for us, because everything from oyster mushroom is great for your respiratory system. Some of the other mushrooms we are growing is really good for your immune system. So instantly the market in North America opened up and they wanted Jamaican mushroom,
Wow.
because nobody else in the world would be growing mushrooms on bamboo and lemongrass outside of Jamaica. Jamaica also has great water quality and great air quality. And so since mushroom absorbs everything around them, the market, North American market, is saying, okay, we want the Jamaican mushroom.
Okay. All right. Thank
Um,
you. There are a few questions from our participants online, Ms. Smith. I'm just going to take three in the interest of time, so we can take the other presenters. Um, the first one, let me tell you, Danielle McNish wants, no, let me start with the first one. Jodia wants to know, how can I get in contact with Miss Smith? So that's the first thing. Are you able to share your contact details over this space?
Oh, there is so much information about me online that I can't hide. It's 420-8908. Same email. You can send it to nowjamaica@gmail.com.
could you repeat that number again for me, please?
420-8908.
Thank you. Ms. Smith, if I may, Opal Slater here.
Hello, Opal. How are you?
I am fine, thanks, Pauline. In terms of you have already established the mother farm.
Mm-hmm.
What in terms of channels of distribution? You said you wanted growers right around the island. What would be your channels of distribution for the grow bags and the reverse, the drop-off center, for when they with the short period of time that mushrooms are between in terms of readiness, 2 to 5 days? Where would be the drop-off centers for the fresh product?
A great question, Opal. And I think I recognize you. You know, I think you've been to the farm. You probably wouldn't recognize the farm now if you had to come back.
Okay.
Our Canadian partner, our Canadian company is driven by this amazing, amazing young man. And he's fallen in love with Jamaica and has made the big investment, but continues to make more investment. And what we're in the middle of is to look at staffing and transportation. So mushrooms will be picked up and delivered via transportation that will be controlled by us. So if
That's
you,
fine, but have you identified any drop centers, any collection centers? Because with farmers at different locations in a parish per se, wouldn't it help your distribution net?
it would really help. And one of the things that we're doing at the moment is to restart and relaunch the network of Women for Food Security. And then we will get great brains like yours that could help us to put this infrastructure in. We have a fabulous opportunity with 150,000 pounds required. I will need the support and the input of as many smart women as possible. So we put the infrastructure in place to do this. At the moment, we are near completion of the construction, but we will be reaching out and asking of new and different ways. We're looking for partners. Whether it's agro stores, we've partnered with RADA. We've gone to see Minister Green. So we are looking at partners to make this work. We would like to be able to do what Jamaica Boilers does. Drop off our grow bags, maybe use the system that is in place with the farm stores for dropping off the grow bags, but we have to figure out ways of collecting the finished product because it's a food product and it is perishable. So we need to be able to do that.
What's the possible cost of your grow bags?
If you're a partner farmer, I don't think there is a cost to the grow bag. The women we want to work with, we understand the limitation on in the investment capital. So you would be a partner and we would provide the grow bags and then you commit to giving us back most of the mushrooms.
All right, just one last question. Okay, so you'll give us the grow bags, we produce, and you will be buying it back at what cost?
It's different mushroom cost different things. So it will be, I can't give you one cost because we're talking about psilocybin.
Why I'm asking,
yeah.
Why I was asking that question because you sell at 2,700, right? So yeah. Is there a projection, irrespective of the mushroom, of a percentage of that cost to the farmers? That's all I'm asking. If you work out a percentage, like for instance,
I know we've played around with the 50-50 percentage because of the social enterprise part of goal of the project is to work at 50-50. So you would grow out the mushrooms and return it to us for the 50% of the cost.
All right. Thank you so much for accommodating that question. If you are going to stay on, I'm getting some feedback. If you're going to stay on, I'm getting some feedback. Just a moment, please. Okay. All right, great. If you're going to stay on, Ms. Smith, I would appreciate it if you could just check in with the chat and if you could respond to some of the additional questions that the participants are asking. I know they have your number, but if time permits, that would be very nice. But we want to say thank you so much for sharing this information with us today. And we look forward to continuing to partner with you in ensuring that, you know, we move agriculture and we help women in agriculture to level up and step up to the plate and explore new avenues and new areas that they can make money from, and you know, help to increase their livelihood, and are able to support their families in a meaningful way. So thank you so much, Ms. Smith.
Thank you, Rosamond. And you know, you should always remember who your friends were. When I still had to explain what the hell mushroom was, Peter Thompson would find a little spot in the corner of the RADA booth wherever he was going for a few of my grow bags, and try and reach out. So now that we have a market, it's always important to come home and say, thank you for what you did to help us to build an industry that is now getting the attention of the entire world. But I wouldn't have made it without all the women who helped, and without RADA and ministry being there. Even when you didn't know what to do, you wanted to help.
We appreciate the commendations, and we look forward to continue to support and partner with you. All right. Okay, so that was a great session. We had Miss Pauline Smith there just now, who presented on mushroom production. At this time, we're going to now move on to Mr. Courtney Horton, who will be presenting to us some insightful information on castor oil production. And we all know that castor oil has been a topic that has been booming over the last couple of years. You know, when we talk about the hair, the skin, and all those benefits. So Mr. Horton will come and bring us some additional information on how we can grow it in a sustainable way, and as we all anticipate, to make money. As if we're in anything in agriculture, we treat it as a business, and the ultimate goal is for you, the farmers, to make money. So over to you, Mr. Horton. You can come. Oh, right here. Be starting with that.
Good to go. Good morning and welcome everyone to our presentation here on behalf of the Jamaica Castor Industry Association. And I would like to start by acknowledging a number of people who have been very helpful to the JCIA and who has played a large role in taking us to where we are today. And in preparing this list, I recognize that all of the names are all females. And if we know the history of Jamaica black castor oil, we'll know that it was built by females, almost entirely by females. And over the years, this product has gone out into the world and has become a world leader. That in the world of castor oil, it is recognized as the creme de la creme of castor oil. So without further ado, I'd like to say a special thank you to Dr. Judith Johnson of the Jamaica Baptist Union, they are a corporate member of the Jamaica Castor Industry Association. Now, the Jamaica Baptist Union has spearheaded the growth of the castor industry from being what you call a cottage industry to actually establishing a foot as a recognized crop in the country. So Dr. Johnson, we really like to thank you and the JBU for what you have done. Now, her able assistant, Miss Dorian Morris, she's also a member and a board member of the JCIA. She should have made this presentation this morning, but unfortunately she lost her grandmother over the weekend and was unable to do so. So our condolences go out to Dorian. In addition, we must make mention of JAMPRO and the role they have played in facilitating the Castor industry. Mrs. Diane Edwards, Mrs. Burletta Henlon Forrester, a real champion, ably supported by Hortense Kennedy and Cecilia Neern. And from the Ministry of Agriculture, Miss Petronia Colley, who has been a champion for the Jamaica Castor Industry Association. And at the local level, we have some what we call stalwarts who have been in this industry and have been carrying this industry all along. There's a Miss Lenora Allen from Manchester and Miss Denise Hamilton from St. Andrew, both of them who have earned their living from castor oil. So without further ado, let us get into the presentation. Can we have the other second slide? So we are presenting the harnessing the Jamaica castor industry. Next slide, please. The Jamaica Castor Industry Association was founded in 2016 with a mandate to facilitate the development of the castor oil industry. We were incorporated in 2017, and we have 9 board members consisting of president, vice president, and directors of marketing, processing, farmers development, cultural and historical development, finance, and the board secretary. Next slide, please. And this tells you who the various members are. Myself as president, Mr. Nicanor Reese. As vice president, Mr. Fitzroy Ferguson. As the board secretary, Mr. Graham Haynes. Mr. Prince Graham Haynes as the marketing director. Mr. McCleggan as the treasurer. Dorian Morris, who we mentioned before, is the director of Castor Growers. Shirley Lindo, preservation of culture and the history of Jamaica black castor oil. Mr. Noel Terrier, out there in Portland, the director of research and development. And Mr. Paul Wilson, down in Westmoreland, the director of technical support. Next slide, please. The vision of the JCIA is to create from the castor crop a totally integrated, economically viable, self-sustainable, zero-waste, agriculture-based industry. Our mission is to spearhead the creation of a viable castor oil industry in Jamaica, guided by tradition, science, research, and development of value-added products. Next slide, please. Now, products. There are 2 types of castor oil. There is the one that's originating from Jamaica, which is known as Jamaica black castor oil, and then there is the commercial grade castor oil, commonly known as the CGCO. Let us look at the distinguishing features. Now, the Jamaica black castor oil, as the name would suggest, originated in Jamaica. But however, we have no fixed standards, and I will address that later on because we are taking steps to have the standards established for it. At this time, this JBCO represents less than, I would say, less than 1/10 of 1% of the world market production. It is used exclusively in the personal care industry, and it has been accredited with the acronym GRASE, meaning generally recognized as safe and effective by the FDA. So it means it can be sold over the counter. It is a high-priced commodity that is used exclusively in the personal care industry. However, the global market is dominated by fake products not originating in Jamaica, and we'll prove that to you as we go along in the presentation. The average price of a metric ton of Jamaica black castor oil comes into the market at approximately $18,822. Now let's go across and look at what commercial grade castor oil is marketed at. At its highest peak, it commanded $1,832 per metric ton, approximately 1/10 of the price of our product, Jamaica Black Castor Oil. Our recent research done by the International IDB Bank, it's done in 2019, said that there was a global demand of approximately 1.44 million liters, and there's a global supply of approximately 1 million. That should be liters, not gallons. 1 million liters. However, let's look on the commercial grade castor oil now. It is produced globally with international standards. It commands more than 99% of the world market production. It is used in more than 3,000 commercially viable products, ranging from engine oil to pharmaceuticals. It has a global demand greater than the production, and I'll show you that as we go down. It is a much lower price commodity, as I had mentioned before, than our Jamaica Black Castor Oil. The main centers of production are India, China, Brazil, USA, Europe, and Thailand. I mentioned the average price before. The global demand is 6.7 million tons, while the supply is 3.6 million tons. There's a shortfall of approximately 46% of what the global demand is. Can we move to the next slide? CGCO, some of the uses, just going through this one very quickly because that is not where our focus is on today, but you must know what the potential is. It is a sustainable energy source and can be grown from organic farming of biofuel feedstocks such as castor oil. It has been recognized as the most promising substitute crop to replace petroleum, and it is the plant oil with the widest range of uses due to its versatile, rich properties, unique chemical structure, used in a wide number of applications and industries. One of the key things about this is that it is known that it has the highest boiling point as an oil, and it also has the lowest freezing point. So it can be used, that's why it is used extensively in the aviation industry and in the marine industry, because it retains its integrity as an oil, which is very, very important. Just looking at some of the industrial linkages, you know, agriculture is the base of all of this, and it feeds into the food industry, it feeds into the nutraceutical industry, it feeds into the electronics industry, it feeds into the cosmetics industry, it feeds into the aviation industry, it feeds into the textile industry. There's about no industry in the world which castor oil is not used. Next. Let's look at, I mentioned the demand and the supply before, and this is just a graphic to explain what each country, the major users, what they demand and what the supply is. And this shows you the different types of derivatives that come from the castor oil. We have sebacic acid, castor wax, undeselenic acid, dehydrated castor oil, and many others, which are used in a wide variety of industries. And this table just gives you a graphical illustration of what the demand is, what the supply is, and the gap. If you look at the bottom line, you'll see that there's a gap of 46% of supply as against the demand. Now let's look at JBCO. That's where our focus is now. Jamaica Black Castor Oil, used in the personal care such as laxative, shampoos, hair care, body lotion, antibacterial, antifungal soap, and cosmetics, just to name a few. Commercial linkages, it's used agriculture as the base, personal care industry, hair care, cosmetics, laxatives, food, medicines, and many other derivatives of the castor. Existing supply, no. This is based on a research that was done by IDB. And this one focused mainly on the US market. So if you realize we only have information for the US market in terms of what the demand is, what the value is, and we see that the USA has a demand for 140,501 gallons of castor oil. That is what is on the marketplace in the USA right now with a value of 17.5 million US dollars. The supply is only 41,000 gallons. So you can see the gap with a value of $5.125 million. Now, of note, a very interesting note here is that Jamaica as a country has never exported 500,000 US dollars worth of castor oil. So somebody else is, in common parlance, eating our food. Now, I have referred to the IDB research in 2019, which is fairly current. Now, this is what came out of the research. What triggered that research is that after a series of meetings between JCIA and IDB, we made mention to them of what we know the demand is based on an earlier study done, commissioned by JAMPRO and done by Fagan, which showed that the global market value of the Jamaica black castor oil was 100 million US dollars. And compare that to at peak, we have never exported 500,000. So there is a massive gap out there for the authentic product. When we told IDB that, they decided that they needed to have empirical data outside of what we were saying to see how real that was. So this study was done focusing on the US market alone. And what came out of it is that 7% of US consumers purchase castor oil products, right? And that was an item A. Let's look at item number H. 42% of these USA consumers of Jamaica black castor oil believe the product is coming from Jamaica, when in truth and in fact, it's not. D tells us that 15% of castor sales in the USA are JBCO products, right? No, that 15% equates to approximately 28 million US dollars, right? No, 19.4 million US dollars. In Jamaican money, that is 2.9 billion Jamaican dollars, which has evaded us because we do not own our own industry. As it says, item G, 71% of Jamaica black castor oil sales in the USA do not come from Jamaica. Now, one very interesting thing out of that is that consumers are prepared to pay up to 30% more for Jamaica black castor oil if it is organically certified and it is a proven authentic product of Jamaica. That means that there is a massive potential here for anyone who wants to take the castor oil seriously. What is the potential here? We have the potential to participate in a global industry with significant growth potential. We have the potential to use idle lands to earn foreign exchange. We have the potential to use the castor crop as a viable economic opportunity to develop an industry which has a proven competitive advantage, a proven comparative advantage, as well as proven markets. We have the potential in rural areas where the main economic activities are experiencing uncertainty to use the castor crop to galvanize rural development, employment creation, and the development of unused lands and the expansion of the nation's industrial base. opportunities. What are the opportunities? There are opportunities in farming. Right now, there are not enough castor farms in Jamaica. Outside of the JBU effort, what happens is what we call wild harvesting, where gatherers go around and gather the castor seeds from wild cultivation where no one planted. So there is a massive, massive need for farmers to come on board. There's also, anywhere in Jamaica you go, you will see the castor plant growing wild. We need more focusing on the gathering, because there is a particular, it attracts a good price if we can prove to them that it is wild harvested or organic. So there is a good potential there for the gatherers. Now, processing, that is where we move from the seed to the oil. And at the processing stage, I will show you later in terms of numbers, what it means to move from just the selling of the seed to changing the seed into oil and processing. From the processing now, we move to the next link in the value chain, which is value-added derivatives, meaning soaps, shampoos, personal care items, and a myriad of other products that can come from the castor oil. And then there's the marketing opportunity to take this product, this wonderful product, into the global space. Not just looking at the USA alone, but there's demand for it in Africa. Do you know that any product, almost any product with the name Jamaica, made in Jamaica, is highly valued in the African continent? So there's a huge marketing opportunity to move this product into new marketplaces. Can we move to the next? Let's look at the financial aspect, because that is the bottom line of when we go into anything, whatever it is, farming, manufacturing, wherever, we have to look at the numbers to see what the numbers are saying. This first table has to do with the cost of establishing and maintaining the crop over a 4-year period. We're saying in the first year, we're looking at an establishment and maintenance cost of $201,000. Year 2, we're looking at $152,000. By year 3, it's $166,000. By year 4, it goes up to $182,000. Over the 4-year period, we're looking at $702,000 to maintain and establish that crop. Having done that, we now need to look and see what it means, the financial bottom line. What does it mean to someone who is doing that? It means that in year 1, after the cost of $201,000, there will be a total revenue. It depends on how we plant it. We can plant it in using a 6x6, 6 feet row space, 6 feet plant space. In that way, we would then be able to get in approximately 1,210 plants per acre. Right? It would mean then that the yield per tree in year 1 is approximately 2.5 pounds. Now, these figures are at the base of the industry. It means that this is the minimum which you should be yielding. You can yield, in some cases, as much as twice as much as what we are projecting here. But we are being conservative and using the base of the industry. So in year 1, yielding 2.5 pounds per tree, 1,200 trees per acre, your total revenue would be $1.0858 million. And the total cost in year 1 is $201,240. a surplus income of $857,000. Year 2, the yield per tree would now be 6 pounds per tree per annum. And our revenue from that would be $2.5 million. And our cost of establishing and maintaining that crop for the year is $152,000. We have a surplus income there of $2.3 million. Using the same thing over year 3, we are at $2.3 million right across to year 4. A total in the 4-year period of total revenue of $8.6 million, total expenditure of $700,000 for a surplus income of $7.9 million. Now, if we were to establish the crop using a 10 by 10 methodology, we would get fewer trees, we would get 436 trees. So the surplus income in year 1 would now be $179,000. Year 2, $762,000, 748 by year 3, 732 by year 4, for a total gross surplus income over the period of $2.4 million. Next slide, please. Now let us look at what the numbers say in processing. We're assuming an exchange rate of 150 to 1, right? It is a given that 1 gallon of castor oil contains 7.86 pounds. Now, the industry research has shown that in converting the seed to oil, the conversion ranges from approximately 40% at its lowest to upwards of 45%. For conservative purposes, we have looked at a conversion ratio of 4 different scenarios. A 30% conversion ratio in the first column, a 35% conversion ratio in the second column, a 40% conversion ratio in the third column, and a 45% conversion ratio in the fourth column. Using those assumptions, it would mean that for producing a pound of oil at the 30% conversion ratio, you would need 3.3 pounds of seed. Likewise, for the 35%, you would need 2.86 pounds of seed. And as the conversion factor improves, you will require less seed. So the amount of seed needed for 1 gallon of oil would be at the 30% ratio, you would need 26 pounds of seed. And for the 35%, you would need 22 pounds of seed. For the 40%, you would need 20 pounds of seed and 17 pounds of seed at the 45%. So let's say we are producing 1,000 gallons of oil. And the amount of seed needed would be 26,200 pounds at the 30% conversion ratio. 22,000 pounds at the 35%, 19,000 pounds at the 40%, and 17,000 pounds at the 45%. And the cost of seed is 300, we are using $350 per pound farm gate. So the total cost for 1,000 pounds of seed would be $1.16 million if we are using the 30% conversion factor, $1 million for the 35%, $875,000 for the 40%, and $777,000 for the 45%. Now, to do that 1,000 pounds of oil, it would mean that we would consume $5,000 in electricity, $3,000 for water, $21,000 for labor, employing 7 laborers at $3,000 per day. Total cost for producing 1,000 pounds of oil would be $1,195,000. That is at the 30%. At the 35% is $1.02 million, 900,000 at the 40%, and 800,000 at the 45%. The cost of a pound of oil would be $1,195 at the 30%, which is the low end. At the high end, it would be $806 for a pound of oil. For a gallon of oil, we're looking at Jamaican dollars 9,397, 8,000, 7,000, and $6,000, depending on the conversion factor, ranging from 30% to 45%. The cost per gallon now is at $62.65 US at the low end at 30% conversion. At the high end of 45% conversion, we're looking at $42 per gallon. That's the cost produced at US dollar 1 gallon of oil. Can we move to the next slide, please? No. Let's look at our income now, where we are saying that the total cost for a gallon of oil at the low conversion factor of 30% is $62. If we're selling our oil at $80 per gallon, which is very low, the JBCO does not go at $80 per gallon. It goes in a region closer to $100 per gallon, even higher than that. We have a margin of $17 at the low end and $37 at the high end. All the way down to, let's say, we are closer to where market is now, the $100. It means you have a margin of $37 per gallon at the conversion factor of 30%, and you have a margin of $62 if you are more productive and you can convert at 45%. All in all, a very lucrative market. Now, as in any agriculture crop, there are constraints. Our primary constraint, I would say, is the cost of cultivation, because it will mean coming out of your pocket to the tune of $700,000 over a 4-year period. And it is not a crop which our financial sector is aware of or is so disposed as to lend money to farmers for doing that. So that is one of our first constraints. Now, the second constraint is the non-establishment of IPRs, and I want to spend a little time on this one. IPRs mean intellectual property rights. As we had mentioned before, we have not exported from this country at the peak of our export $500,000 worth of products. Yet still, out there in the global market space, under the name Jamaica Black Castor Oil, is a market that has a value of a low of 75 million to a high of 100 million US dollars. If we are to harness that potential, it means we have to own the intellectual property rights for the name Jamaica Black Castor Oil. And our association has undertaken a major project which will enable us to do this. We have partnered with the Mona Institute of Applied Sciences, a division of the University of the West Indies, through grant funding from IDB, which came through the Jamaica Baptist Union, to do the necessary research to establish the standards for Jamaica Black Castor Oil. That study is underway as we speak and should be completed by the end of the year 2021. Another constraint is the reliance on undependable labor force. As you know, the castor crop is entirely labor dependent. It is a manual crop and requires entire manual labor. It requires a large labor force, particularly when it is to be reaped. Another constraint is the need for buying and the active support from multiple government agencies. And we must say that at this point in time, we have been getting active support from, in the first instance, JAMPRO, Ministry of Agriculture, and the Ministry of Industry and Commerce. They have both been playing their roles, and we're very thankful to them. As in any project, delay is a constraint. So this is a project which we need to, once we have decided how we're going to move, we need to just move and move quickly. And as usual, we are in terms of uncertain climatic conditions as an agriculture-based entity. We certainly depend on good climatic conditions for us to make a success of it. Next slide, please. What is the potential, the impact that this crop can have on Jamaica? Firstly, we have the potential to earn hard currency from this. It's proven and undisputed. Employment generation of skilled, semi, and unskilled labor in rural areas. We do need skilled people in terms of the scientific aspect of it, in terms of the research and development and the value-added products that need to come out of it to make it an industry and not just an agricultural enterprise, but to make it an industry that is at the base of the industry is agriculture. We will have to be developing a whole lot of skill sets. We can bring into production marginal lands because unlike most other agricultural crops, castor fares well on the most marginal of land. Based on what I said before, we have the development of a potentially lucrative industry wherein all the links of the value chain we can either own outright or have a significant stake in every link of the value chain if we plan and execute properly. We also have the potential to develop alternative clean, renewable, environmentally friendly energy source, a proven fact from the castor oil, if we are to go the commercial section of it. And overall, the potential to develop new industries from castor oil derivatives. I'd like to thank you and to thank each and every one and to say happy International Women's Day. And if there are any questions, we'd be very happy to try and answer them.
All right. All right. Thank you so much, Mr. Horton. Boy, I myself didn't even realize that castor oil had so many uses outside of what we generally know about the hair and the skin, you know. But the shocker for me was the source of energy. I didn't know that. Yes. So there is great potential for castor oil. And I do hope persons who are online were keenly paying attention and listening and hope they will tap into this new area, this new venture that requires a lot of people. You know, we would want more people to get involved. There are a lot of persons overseas. And I must say to you, Mr. Martin, I go into the supermarket and I see a lot of overseas products with Jamaican castor oil written all over it. And as you said, there are some legal or standard issues that we need to address. And I hope as we go along over the years, we can fix those things and own our own, you know, local products or produce and
and such the like, and gain from it, not just be losing out each time. There were some questions on the chat in Zoom, and some persons, let's see, let's take just a few before we move on. Someone was saying they're curious how it's used in food.
Food.
Yes.
All right. The not the commercial grade castor oil. It is the our Jamaica black castor oil, right? It is used in culinary areas where it is used as a carrier oil.
Oh,
Where it is not, because it has laxative properties, is more used for carrier oils, which they might want to use, let's say, chamomile oil to give a flavor.
Oh,
and the chamomile oil by itself is quite potent. So what you do, you would use the castor oil as the carrier oil, which would then reduce the potency of more pungent oils, and you will get. So when you look at your labels, a lot of the labels you will see PEG, PEG, in capitals. PEG is the acronym for polyethylene glycol, which is a derivative of castor oil. A lot of your food labels you see it have PEG. You see all the capsules that you take, but you have the medicines inside the capsule. Those capsules are made from PEG.
Oh, okay.
Right? Which is a derivative of castor oil.
Okay. All right. Thank you for that. In terms of contacting you, how can persons contact you or the company that you represent via email or phone, so that we can?
Our offices, we work out of Jamaica Manufacturers and Exporters Association, and at this point in time, let me just make one little. I was remiss in not mentioning the role that Jamaica Manufacturers and Exporters Association has done in supporting the castor industry. Mrs. McNabb has been a tower of strength for us, and so our offices, and we are domiciled at the 85A Duke Street at the head office of Jamaica Manufacturers and Exporters Association. They can reach us through those.
Okay. So in terms of an email, you don't have an email at this point.
We have an email.
If you sort it before you leave,
yes, so we can post it. We also have our website, which is now under construction. Our website is under construction. No, and all of that, by the end of this month, all of that will be open on our website.
We're going to take one final question. Carl T from Zoom is asking, since I'm new in farming, I would like to know if you have any paper on the best practices on growing the castor plant. Do you have any documentation that can share with persons?
We have
on how to grow it?
We have, because there have been many research. Petroleum Corporation of Jamaica, along with Cardi, they did a study, an extensive study, and we do have that available.
Okay.
Right?
Where can persons source it?
Again, you can get to us through the
Jamaica
Manufacturing, yes, and we will. All of those will be by the end of the month. Our website will come running, and all of that will be available on the website.
Mr. Horton, can I come in with a question now?
Yes, go ahead.
Mr. Horton, you mentioned your financial analysis is based on persons processing and making the oil, yes?
That's right.
Now, what this is saying is that anybody or everybody who grows the castor oil beans have to do their own processing. How are you going to determine whether this is being done, the standards associated with this, and sorry, that is my grandson. And how is there any is there any costings associated with just the delivery of seeds as against going into the processing of the oil?
Yes, there is. If we go back to the slide which said opportunities, you will see that there are 5 prongs to that. There is the farming, there's the gathering, there's the processing, there's the value added, and then there is the marketing. Now, rule of thumb, we have found that for you to successfully be a producer of oil, and if you want to use your own seeds, you should have a minimum of about 10 acres under cultivation. And that would make you a small scale producer of oil, right? At 10 acres. Below 10 acres, you would begin to struggle because you would not have the throughput of raw material to substantiate the investment in the processing facility that is required. Now, we have partnered with a number of other entities. We should mention Bureau of Standards and the National Certification Body of Jamaica, whom we are working with alongside of the Mona Institute of Applied Sciences to establish what we call the standards for Jamaica black castor oil. And we are encouraging our members to utilize these services that they can become certified at a global level, to get the certification at the global level, whether you are farming or you're processing, that they would get the certification from the NCBJ, I think that's what their National Certification Body of Jamaica. They are our partners in seeing that we're moving the industry now from a cottage style industry into one that operates at a globally recognized standard.
Thanks for that information. But from listening to your presentation, as I said, it was more focused on the production of the oil and not on the farmer, producing the seeds and then selling it to Jamaica Baptist Union for argument's sake. So I didn't get that clearly from your presentation in terms of growing the seeds and selling the seeds to the processor.
No, well, my first slide in terms of the
I did not see
Turmeric, that first slide showed you the cost of production over a 4-year period, which totaled to $770,000 over the 4-year period, broken down into the first year, because you'll be planting and doing your land preparation, would have been, let me just go back to that slide here. And I'll tell you the exact figures in terms of, from the farmer's perspective, what it means, right? It will be slide number 23. Slide number 23. Financial summary farming. Go back. Yeah, your financial summary farming. Go back up. Go one more up. Right. Now this slide tells us that for the farming to establish and maintain the crop, right? It means that in year 1, right, you would incur a cost of $201,000, right, to establish the crop, and it is broken out like this, and this is per acre.
Okay.
For seed purchase, you're looking at $350 a pound, and we're looking at approximately 5 pounds.
Sure. Can we just see the other slide that shows the profit margins?
Okay, come down to the next slide. All right, this is our 4-year projection, right? And we are assuming the farm gate price of $350 per pound. right?
Okay.
And we're assuming that you're planting at a 6 by 6, 6 feet apart for the plants, 6 feet apart for the rows, right? And if we do it like that, we can get 1,210 plants for the acre. But then again, you don't get exactly flat land. So you can round it up at about 1,200 plants for the acre. And when I'm doing that, I don't use 1,200 plants. I use 1,000 plants for the acre, right? That is a safer assumption. But let's say for the rule of thumb, now we're using the 1,200 plants. It means that in year 1, because that is the year when your yield will be at its lowest, we are assuming 2.5 pounds per tree per annum, right? And that would equate to a total revenue of $1.058 million for year 1. And you're going to take away the cost of establishing and maintaining the crop of $201,000. So you will have a surplus income of $857,000 for year 1. Now by year 2, when the crop comes into, it begins to peak, right? Now these assumptions of the yield are conservative, very conservative, right? And we're saying that by year 2, you will be yielding 6 pounds per plant per acre. And we maintain that for years 3 and year 4, right? Okay, so it means that we have a revenue. Let us look for the 4-year period. We get a total revenue of $8.6 million as against a total cost of $700,000 with a gross income of $7.9 million. That's if we're using the 6 by 6. If you do the 10 by 10, now what the 10 by 10 allows is for intercropping. That means that you will have a secondary crop which you can earn from, right? At the net, the surplus income over the 4-year period for the 10 by 10 projection is $2.4 million, but we're not factoring in potential from the intercropping. I hope that answers your question.
All right. Thank you so much, Mr. Horton. As we wrap up this segment to move on to our next presenter, there is one question from YouTube that I wanted to quickly address. One individual, Jodian McLaughlin Johnson, she's asking, once it is converted into oil, what is the shelf life and how is it stored to preserve its integrity? So if you could just quickly address that, and then we'll move on.
Like any other oil, it is recommended that you store on the cool, on a cool place, right? But the shelf life, I can tell you that I have oil which I produced 2 years ago, and I still have it, and I take it out just to look at it every now and then to see if it has maintained its integrity. And it is as good now as it was 2 years ago when I made it. And I must say to you that the biggest danger to the castor oil maintaining its integrity is moisture. You cannot allow, it has to be stored in a cool, dry condition, and you cannot allow moisture to get into the oil, because once moisture is in it, it begins to disintegrate and gets very rancid, and you lose its value right away. So the biggest enemy of the castor oil is moisture. But it can be stored shelf life. I say I have mine for 2 years, and I've kept that one specifically just to see how long it has. I have it over 2 years, and the integrity is still there.
Okay. Thank you so much, Mr. Horton. If you have any further questions for Mr. Horton, you can put them in the chat, and we'll see how best we can address them. The RADA staff will type the responses in the chat or on the YouTube platform, the various platforms. We're on YouTube at this time, and also Instagram and Zoom just the same. Pardon? He'll give us after. At this time, I'm going to welcome our next presenter, who is Miss Alison Cummings. And Miss Cummings will be presenting to us some information on turmeric production, quite another insightful area, another big area that most persons want information on to venture into, which has great potential. So Mrs. Althea Cummings is an entrepreneur, a chairperson for the Wilmington Community Development Committee, and the secretary for the Wilmington New Uprising Farmers Group. She produces turmeric naturally and is presently working on organic certification from HART. She's also a bee farmer and was a beneficiary on the RADA Farming as a Business Pharmacy School back in 2018. So let me welcome Ms. Cummings and say, Ms. Cummings, the floor or the space, the virtual space is now over to you.
Good morning, everyone.
Good morning, and how are you?
I'm great. I wanted to say good morning to everyone. And also, I'd like to, before I start my presentation, I'd really like to thank the staff of the St. Thomas RADA office. They have been so welcoming in accommodating me this morning so that I can make this presentation regarding turmeric. So I'd like to thank Mrs. Martin, Mr. Barkley, Miss Duncan, Miss Wilson, and my two extension officers, Mr. Campbell and Mr. Henry. So today, we'd like to talk about the wonderful and magical qualities of turmeric and the potential that exists in the market out there, whether it's exporting raw turmeric or using our turmeric to make value-added products, which has been trending a lot lately. So can I have the first slide, please? As we get right into it. Okay, so turmeric or curcumin is originally named, the biological name for it is curconium, and it has the Indian saffron or solid gold. So there's several species of turmeric, including the Madras turmeric powder, the West Indian turmeric powder, and these were mainly used in Chinese medicine. First used as dyes, flavorers, agents, and medicine. Now, I don't know if you've ever really paid attention to the beautiful designs Indian women wear on their hands and on their bodies. Those designs are created by turmeric dyeing. So it's a dye that they use to create the designs, and they use them mostly in weddings and special events. Next slide, please. Now, the market for turmeric has great potential. You know, I don't know if you've noticed that everything now has turmeric in it. There's turmeric face mask, there's turmeric everything. Juices, as well as medicines, they all carry turmeric in them. So there is great potential now to use turmeric to make added value products. So the highest demand in America is US 37.9 million or 9.655 tons. Jamaica exported in 2017 1.03 million kilograms, valued at US $1.767 million. Some of the current export countries include USA, Canada, Cayman Islands, Dominica Republic, and the UK. There's also Morocco in there. Jamaica is the 7th largest exporter of turmeric at the current basis. In 2018, Jamaica exported 0.6% of the world turmeric supplies and ranks number 17 out of 23 exporting countries. Potential markets for Jamaica turmeric are the Netherlands, United Kingdom, and Germany. Next slide, please. So now we're going to move in from some of the potential markets to the business of turmeric. Let's go. So in agriculture, the business of turmeric. So agriculture, farming is mostly our main business right now. And then there are the added value products, food and beverages, healthcare, beauty and personal care. So we're going to look at each one of these. Agriculture, crop production. The cost to produce 1 acre of turmeric. Crop matures in 7 months, and it takes 2 months of reaping for input costs of approximately 490,000 Jamaican dollars, which yields about 8,000 kilograms. Estimated farm gate price is $88 per kilogram. The gross revenue, $704,000, with a net income of $213,000 and a return on your investment of 43.44%. So let's dig a little further into those numbers. So we talk about, so let's talk a little bit about turmeric and the production of turmeric. Cleanliness, the specifications for turmeric. Of course, they would follow the standards, your best practicing standards, which means the crop has to be grown under conditions and reaped under conditions that would be clean and also sorted by grade. They would also be graded. So the crop matures in 7 months. The growth, okay. So suitable locations to grow turmeric are in the parishes of Hanover, Westmoreland, St. Thomas, St. James, Clarendon, St. Catherine, and St. Mary and St. Thomas. So we're here in St. Thomas. We need well-drained soil with sufficient nutrient supplies. So harvesting turmeric. So how and when do you harvest turmeric? You harvest turmeric when the leaves of the plant starts dying down. So a lot of new turmeric growers think that when the leaves of the plant start dying down, they should give the plant more water. Quite the opposite. That means it's time to harvest. And in harvesting, sometimes one plant can give you up to or above 12 pounds of turmeric, depending on how well they were cared for, your soil, and the nutrient factors that were provided for them. So can I get the next slide, please? So let's look a little bit at the added value products out of turmeric. So we have curry powder, turmeric pasta. So the pickled turmeric, for one, is a favorite of mine, which can be made with using apple cider vinegar, as well as your spices, your cloves, your pimento, some bird pepper, and letting it ferment for a couple of weeks, and then draining that off and adding some honey to it to make a pickled turmeric. Now the pickle, the turmeric and coconut, that's another one that you can grate your turmeric and add coconut milk to it. Turmeric pasta, where you're adding your turmeric to the meal as you cook it. Tahini sauce, same thing. You grate your turmeric and you get it to mix it in with the turmeric. So you say, what does this have to do with the potential out there for added value? If you check out most niche markets, you would find that these products here, the turmeric almond butter, for instance, the curry powder, the paste, and the sauce are all on the higher end of the scale. So it is a great opportunity to take advantage of the opportunity that exists out there in making added value products. So how do you go about making your added value products and the ratio of turmeric, raw turmeric, to make turmeric powder? So to make turmeric powder, it takes about 17 pounds of raw turmeric to be grated or sliced, dried, and then grinded into a powder. The paste is the same thing, and so are your sauces. Sauces take a little less raw turmeric to make, but they're all done basically in the same way. And because of the end price of the turmeric, that's where your opportunities exist to make money. Next slide, please. Now, also in the healthcare, turmeric tinctures, those are great. The golden milk latte, the oils, the teas, the vitamins, and the kombucha. And on one more thing, capsules also. As you can see here, turmeric tinctures, it's a great way to build your immune system. Golden milk, it's great for relaxing. Turmeric oils are great for cooking. Teas, again, to build immune systems, your vitamins, and kombucha, which helps in digestion and things of that nature. So you look at the markets, the export markets for turmeric added values, and you would see that it's one of the most trending items out there. Wherever you go in the world, people are wanting to export to buy turmeric. Have you purchased those things? Now, the health benefits. Health benefits, health. Contains curconium, a bioactive compound with medical properties. Curconium is a natural anti-inflammatory compound, dramatically increases antioxidant capacity of the body, boosts brain functions, lower risks of disease, lower risk of heart disease, helps prevent and treat cancer, may be useful in preventing and treating Alzheimer's disease, manage effects of arthritis, benefits against depression, may be delay aging and fighting age-related chronic disease. So when we take all of that into consideration, turmeric is really the magician, I like to call it. I'm a turmeric seller. I make a lot of the added value products. That's where most of my interest lies. And I know most people are coming to me for advice or ways and recipes to really help them in pain management and heart disease issues and sleeping issues. So these health benefits, it's a great way for women in groups to come up with ideas as to how they can put their heads together and use this product to help maintain and make items that would help you in those areas. Next slide, please. Now we come to beauty and personal care. Most people don't know that turmeric is actually a bleaching agent. I never sell my turmeric based on that. You know, it's great in a once in a while face mask. It really cleans your skin. Your skin looks really great. But on a regular, it's not the thing to do unless you're into bleaching. So, I did when product with women in my community, and everyone just looks great after using it. But the main uses of turmeric for beauty and personal care would be an anti-wrinkle cream, face cleanser, skin cleanser, skin moisturizer, and moisturizing for your lips. Now, if you look in this slide here, you will see the before and after pictures of these models that have used turmeric. And you can definitely see how it really cleans up your skin, helps your complexion, and then also just brightens up your skin. So anti-wrinkle, again, it removes fine lines, you know, great for aging skin. And then with the cleansers also, it really is great for working and cleaning up your skin. The moisturizers helps you retain the moisture in your skin. So turmeric powder with honey makes a great moisturizer, great chapstick for beauty and personal care. Next slide, please. Oh, thank you. I have some more information. This is the end of my slides, but I do have more information here that I would like to share with you. So when you think of exporting turmeric and the byproducts of turmeric, you would have an idea as to what avenues or what opportunities are there for you to work with. So Jamaica exports a total, in 2017, Jamaica exported 1,023,426 kgs of turmeric at a value of US dollars 1,766,815 US dollars, being the US being the largest importer of turmeric from Jamaica. Okay, so world import characteristics. Turmeric trade is relatively concentrated with 7 countries accounting for 52.1% of the major imports. Major importers of turmeric are India, USA, Iran, UK, and Morocco. These importing countries represent 44% of the turmeric world trade. India imports most of the world turmeric with a 15% share with a value of 44,417 in the world imports, with the US accounting for 13% of the market share with 37,964 of the world imports. So we go on here. So there's also, give me one moment. 1 minute. Oh,
Am I back on, Monique? My camera is not on.
So as you see, there is a large market out there for turmeric exporting raw turmeric. Raw turmeric is bought in the United States. You can get at the low end of it, you get $496 that's the lowest you would get per kg, and the highest is $7.42. Sorry about that. $4.96 is the lowest. $7.42 is the highest. Turmeric offers a great opportunity to our women in small clusters that are able to grow as well as reap turmeric and use it for processing, value added, and entering the market. Because if you look at all the ads on Instagram, you will see where turmeric is trending. There's turmeric soap, there's turmeric face mask, there's turmeric soap, face mask, drinks, everything that can be turmeric is there. And you have that opportunity to work with it and make yourself a market. Turmeric allows you to be as creative as you want to be. You can just create so many things, because in 2010, no one knew what turmeric was or cared what it was, for a matter of fact. People thought it was a nuisance in farming. They were reaping it and burning it up. And so in 11 years, you see the kind of steps that it has made, being so well-known worldwide as well as in Jamaica. So my advice to you would be to look into yourself or your groups, do some more research, and look at the opportunities that can present to you. That's the end of my presentation. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Ms. Cummins. Quite some quite useful information there. For years, turmeric has been one of those crops that people didn't really place much emphasis on or had much interest in. But in recent times, more studies have been showing, and you find that we
we have been planting the crop much more and have ventured into exporting it much more. As a matter of fact, just last week, I was doing some research and I saw an article where the FAO is saying that the Jamaican turmeric is destined to become one of the country's prime export crops. So it's well sought after overseas, not just for the health benefits, but as you mentioned, the cosmetology side of things and the skincare side of things and all of that. So we thank you. Thank you so much for that.
Thank you very much.
Right. So at this time, we're going to see if there are any questions in our chat before we close off. If there are any participants who wish to ask Ms. Cummins any question in terms of how do you get involved, what are some key tips that you might require to get involved, now is the time. Could you leave us with your contact information, Ms. Cummins, so we can share with the participants?
Yes. Would you like me to give it to you now?
Yes.
Okay, my phone number is 876-865-6590. And also I can be contacted through our St. Thomas RADA office.
Okay.
Yes, you can contact me through there. Okay.
All right. Could you repeat the number, or let me tell you what we have and you correct me if there's an error. 876-865-6590. Is that correct?
That's correct, yes.
Okay, great. Thank you.
And also I can be reached through RADA.
Okay, definitely. So we can contact Ms. Cummins as well through the RADA St. Thomas Parish Office. Someone is asking, how long does the crop take to grow? And also, what would be the, no, this is more like a comment. Veronica Graham says it would be best to process the turmeric as the value added would be more beneficial. However, Jodian is asking, how long does it take for the crop to grow?
It usually takes about 7 months for the crop to grow. And it's in the ginger family, so it kind of works on the same cycle as the ginger. So it takes about 7 months to grow.
Okay. Would you say it grows better in some parishes than others, or you would say it can be grown in any parish?
I would say in some parishes it grows better, like Hanover, Westmoreland, Portland, St. Thomas, St. Mary. I think that you find more turmeric there.
What's the climatic condition that the crop requires, usually, from your experience?
Well, let me just say this to you. In my community where we grow turmeric, it is I like to call it a wild harvest because it grows. If you throw out a piece of turmeric, you look around, it's growing. If you put it in the refrigerator and it's time to plant, it starts growing. So, but the loose soil, good drainage are usually, and of course sun, are usually it's a good way to grow turmeric.
Okay. Somebody's asking that. On YouTube, someone is asking, in terms of a viable production, what amount of land would be a good starting point in terms of establishing the crop? How much would you say would be a good starting point to establish?
I would say about 2 acres, depending on, of course, what your end goal is, but I would say 2 acres.
Okay. All right. Thank you so much again, Ms. Cummins. We do appreciate the time that you took to, make yourself available to present or make this presentation to us and the persons online. We greatly appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
Definitely. I also want to take the opportunity to thank our two presenters who presented earlier on the mushroom production, Miss Pauline Smith and Mr. Courtney Horton, who presented likewise on the castor oil production. Three key areas which are currently booming in Jamaica and has great potential for us farmers to make some money, you know, and improve our lives and that of our farm families. For tomorrow's session, I want to encourage you to join us as we will make 3 additional presentations on tower farming, aquaponics, and microgreening production. And on Wednesday, we'll be presenting to you the services that RADA offers for women in agriculture. So we'll be having presentations from our livestock unit, our plant health unit, and our social services and home economics unit. So please join us tomorrow and Wednesday again, sorry, as we mentioned earlier. You can join on via 3 platforms: YouTube, Zoom, and we're also on Instagram. Are we on Facebook as well? Okay, so that's Zoom, the Instagram and YouTube channels for RADA. So you can join us then. The time, so for tomorrow, we're back at 10. We're at 1, sorry, correction. For tomorrow, the session starts at 1. And for Wednesday, we're back at 10. Right. The recordings will be on YouTube, so you can go back and revisit when it's convenient to you to rewatch and catch up on the information that you would have missed, or if you would want to refresh yourself with what was presented, that will also be there. So if there are no other additional questions or comments, let me say thank you to all for participating in this very important series of webinars that we'll be having between today and Wednesday. Thanks to the ICT team for assisting and ensuring that the system is up and running. And we want to also thank the PR director, Miss Camille Beckford, who is behind the scenes ensuring that everything is running well. Miss Celia Miles also, who is behind the scenes, and all the other key stakeholders who made this happen. We want to also thank the ministry, our parent ministry, for initiating this activity and for continuing to support the women in agriculture. So once again, happy International Women's Day to all the females out there, all the women in agriculture out there. Continue to strive for excellence, continue to level up, and continue to make moves in agriculture. We're proud of you, and we'll continue to support you in whatever way we can. So signing out for now. Thanks again, and have a great afternoon.
I just got so nervous.